Yo, so we're here in the command tower, late night, chilling. I'm gonna look on the internet, see if I find any good questions and give some context. Being in the industry for a whole decade now and running one of the largest manufacturers in the state. So I'm just scrolling through Reddit. So I seen this pour out video. This guy just showing a pour out of some sauce. You can see it's like an NPT system, so some old school stuff for sure. Now everything's like compression fittings because it's more sanitary. You don't have to use that tape. If you look on the top, on the nozzle, in the beginning of the video, there's that tape, that stuff. Nice pour out, looks good stuff, beautiful color. But when I was looking at it, I was going through the comments here, and a growing bunch too said, "Is this your job? And do you go to college for it?" And he mentioned that he was a lab manager. And then people were interested in kind of understanding like what it takes to like get to that level. So Royal Garden said, "I am too curious of how many years did it take to get to the extraction. Also, is the extract once it comes out of the nozzle ready to dab, or is there other refinements needed?" It's kind of a good question, right? That I honestly hear pretty often for people. People usually start off like dabbing and super interested in concentrates and being like a connoisseur, and then they're like, all right, I want to get behind the scenes. And that's where people usually go to like nowadays, which I think is much safer, is like start pressing their own little rosin, buying some flour, pressing it out. There's a good question in that, which is like, how long does it take to actually become an extractor? And this is something I always recommend, is that in most states, everything's like legal. There's like a licensed entity that's producing extracts that you will find at your shop. So now you don't kind of do it yourself. You don't kind of risk it. And so usually what we'll do is we'll start off with people in prep. So prepping columns, or doing like the miscellaneous work. So but that's perfect, because that's when you can be like a fly on the wall and just kind of understand what's going on and have an easy process that you do daily. That's like kind of like simple, but then you can keep your ears open. And so then they go to post-processing. Post-processing is when they'll actually start learning, when that resin comes out, how do we make that prototype? You know, like, what do you need to do to extract when it comes out to make it like a butter? You know, some of the prototypes that like made the industry, like shatter or crumble. Funny enough, we just made some crumble the other day for a client. So they're like, we always make a joke like, oh no, crumble's on the comeback, crumble's on the comeback. How long usually does it take for someone to get from knowing nothing and working their way up, specifically in like a licensed lab? I would say, honestly, it starts off by, there's a lot of variables. How fast does a position or opening come up? Really, that's the dictator. And you have to be ready for that by showing competency in the pre and post processing. I have honestly seen people from beginning to start work their way up in like a year. And so honestly, if you got yourself into a laboratory, within a year, you can probably start blasting extract.